Hi, my name's Darius. I'm going to tell you about what used to happen at my house. I never really liked to talk about it, but some of you might have the same story. Maybe there are other kids who don't like going home after school. I could always hear my mom and dad from outside. They'd fight about money, bills, work, and everything else. I know things are hard, so I'd try to stay out of their way. But it was easy for them to find something to get angry about, like a messy room. Some parents don't know how to hold back, and kids like me are scared that if we mess up, we'll get hit. Hard. No one should get hurt at home, and you can't keep it to yourself if it happens. I love my dad, but it doesn't matter who it is. If someone hurts you, it has to stop. I needed help. They say teachers and counselors at school are people that you can talk to. And it was true. I went to the school counselor and she knew what to do. She said someone would come by to help us. It felt really good to tell someone. Things got better after that. My parents got help. I was never hit again.
Thank you, Darius. It can be hard to understand if someone you love acts violently, but you have to keep yourself safe if they do. Adults with bad tempers might not always be able to tell the difference between punishment and abuse. Remember, abuse includes hitting, throwing things, and verbal attacks. If someone in your home does this, it doesn't matter who it is, you must tell. Talk to other adults, like teachers or counselors.
They want to help. No one has the right to hurt you. If you think you've been abused, remember the protect yourself rules to know when to ask for help and how to stay safe.
Hi, I'm Maya. A couple weeks ago, someone I knew touched me on a private part of my body. It was hard to talk about what happened, but this is something none of us should ever keep secret. My friend Jess had a pool party and invited everyone from our class. Jess's parents were inside, and her older brother Roger was watching the party. I'd seen Roger around, and I thought he was pretty cool. I went into Jess's room to change, and then I got undressed. I heard a noise and turned, and Roger was in the room with me. He saw me changing. I was so embarrassed, but he tried to play it off like nothing had happened. He said he'd noticed me checking him out and that we should get to know each other. He started to touch me, and I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. I'd thought Roger was a nice guy, but anybody that invades your privacy or tries to touch your private parts is a creep. Touching like that is not okay. You have to tell them no and get away. I took his hand away and said, "Don't touch me." He got mad and told me not to tell anyone about what happened. If I did, he said he'd tell everyone I was flirting with him. It felt gross to keep what Roger did a secret, but I didn't want people to think bad things about me. Girls and boys in our grade hang out together more, but there are boundaries for touching. So why did I feel like I'd done something wrong? Was it my fault for wearing a bathing suit? I felt confused and alone. I couldn't even talk to Jess, but I knew I had to tell someone. So I told my mom. I was nervous. What if she didn't believe me or freaked out? But that didn't happen. She listened and took what happened seriously. I was just glad to finally talk about it.
I'm sorry this happened, Maya, but you did the right thing. Touching someone on private parts of their body is abuse.
I kept thinking that it was my fault that Roger touched me. But even if someone thinks you're flirting with them, it doesn't give them permission to touch you.
That's right. It's never your fault if someone tries to touch you, no matter what you're wearing. If this does happen, you have to tell an adult you trust. I'm glad you remembered the rules, Maya, and knew how to protect yourself.
Thanks, Miss Barbara.
Hi, everybody. It's Michele, the computer lady with the PIC TV network. I'd like you to join me and my guest as we discuss the topic of the importance and power of reading. Every week, I'm going to be bringing a new guest as we dive deep into why our kids don't read and ways that we can help them. Stay tuned. And power of reading. I'm Michele, the computer lady, your host. During some awful dark times in America, Black people were denied the ability to read, to learn how to read, to write, or to even own books. And that has hampered our communities up until this day. Now we're going to have important conversations about the importance and power of reading. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Importance and Power of Reading. I'm Michele, the computer lady, your host. Today, I have a wonderful, wonderful author and parent. Her name is Nikki Sadiq, and she has so much to offer, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation. Nikki, welcome to the Importance and Power of Reading.
Hello, everyone.
All right, Nikki, would you just tell us a few things about yourself, if you don't mind?
Sure. Thank you all for being here. And thank you, Michele, for having me on today. My name is Nikki Sadiq. I'm from California, but originally from Nigeria. I'm an author, a vivid reader, and a mother as well, and a Christian.
Well, that's what we love. We love that you're a mother. And how many children do you have?
I have 3 children. I have a 5-year-old and 2-year-old twins.
And I'm glad that you're a Christian. Now, you said you're an author, correct?
Yes. Yes, I'm an author.
Okay.
I've written.
So, tell me what you've written.
I've written a book. It's called The Unfailing Love of God. And it's a story about finding and being transformed by the love of God. It's my testimony. I have a copy of it here. And it can be found on Amazon or on my website at nikkimaynew.com. My book was kind of sparked from my love for reading and wanting to express myself and help other people read my story and find out how they can be transformed as well.
All right. So do that again. Tell us where we can get your book. And your
Sure.
website is?
My website is Nikki, Nikki, madenew.com, all one word. And you can order the book there, and you also can order it on Amazon.com.
That is awesome. So now, Nikki, the reason why we're here today, because living in this country right now, there's book bannings going on and all kinds of craziness. But we know that reading is important. We know that structurally we have to, number one, make sure that our children read. So first question I have, did you like reading as a child?
Yes, I definitely remember reading, laying in my bed, reading books like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and The Babysitter's Club. I do remember at some point losing that love for reading, but I had a deep love for reading growing up.
Okay. And so you said that you read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That used to be one of my favorite books reading. So that's amazing. Ronald Dahl is amazing with that. So
Right.
you said you lost your love of reading. What happened?
I went through a traumatic experience when I was 9 years old. I was a victim of childhood sexual abuse, and from that place, I kind of lost a lot. I lost a lot, and a lot of different things that I love to do, like reading, dancing. I lost those things. Was able to regain them, but I lost that desire, and then later on in life, it came back to me, and I started to love to read again.
That is awesome. So when did you start reading as a child? What age? Do you remember?
I think I had been reading as early as I remember. From my mom was very intentional about education. She was very intentional about us learning, and I remember reading as young as four. I can remember about being 4 years old, exploring 4, 5, 6. Yeah,
Awesome. So you started reading at 4 years old. Your mom was really intentional. So would you say that your mom was your influence as far as being able or wanting to read or your love of reading?
I would say yes. She had her. It wasn't really around reading. It was around just educating ourselves in every way possible. We had encyclopedias in my house. That's my brothers read the encyclopedias. So my mom just encouraged us to read. So we were always reading and learning, and yeah. So I would say she definitely sparked that for us.
That is amazing. So now what's your favorite book?
I would say I have a lot of different favorite books. My ultimate favorite book is the Bible. But outside of the Bible, I would say The Body Keeps the Score, because of me being a trauma survivor and the work that I do, being a trauma advocate. The Body Keeps the Score, I would say, did a wonderful job. And it's a wonderful, informative read as well. So that's one of my favorites, I would say.
That is amazing. Because what I get, and this is the one thing I know as somebody that also writes books, is that sometimes the things that we go through spur our love of reading or our dislike of reading. And
Right.
so when we have problems or traumas, when we go back to it, it's like starting all over again. It becomes magical all over again. Was it like that way for you?
Definitely. Definitely. It was definitely magical. It was a wonderful experience, and it was like a love found that I didn't remember how much I loved reading until I started to engage with it. And now I can't live without reading, and sometimes I try to cut back. Recently I gave myself, okay, I'm gonna cut back on my reading, but I just can't. It's the way that I live.
So you say you read about what, 1, 2, 3 books a month?
Probably at least 2 to 3.
That is awesome. Because you know what Les Brown says? If you read at least one book a month, you're smarter than at least 70, 80 people in the whole world.
Wow.
So that
Wow.
means you're a very smart woman. So did you have any other influencers that influenced your reading, like teachers, your grandma, aunts, or uncles?
um, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say. I would think it was just the upbringing that we had. I'm from Nigeria, like I said. So my parents coming from Nigeria to America, that dream of, okay, well, we gotta do everything we can to educate you guys in the way that you need to be, to make sure you have everything you need. So that was really instilled in us, and I think that's where it kind of started. My brother also loves to read, so just it being around me, I would say, is the influence that I had. And it I find reading to be a safe space for me. It's a place where I can escape. It's a place where I can explore the world and be all over the world in my chair. So I would say, yeah, just that foundation.
That is absolutely awesome. So now you're grown, you have children, and you say you came here from Nigeria. Nigeria is a country on the continent of Africa. So what part of Nigeria?
I'm from a number state.
Okay.
So it's a state, and I'm Igbo. So
Okay.
it's one of those states.
That is awesome. So how long have you and your family been in the United States?
So for me, I was born here. I lived there for 2 years, but I was born and raised here. I think my parents probably over about 40 years.
Okay. So, so do you speak both languages?
I understand the language. I don't speak it fluently. I could probably work on it, but I don't speak it, but I understand it. If I hear someone having a conversation, I can hear it clearly.
Okay, that is awesome because
Yeah.
there's nothing like being bilingual. Now, are there any
Right.
authors from Africa that you would recommend any of their books?
Definitely. Chinua Achebe is a popular author from Nigeria. He wrote Things Fall Apart, which is a really popular book here in the United States. Did a lot of books as a spinoff from the Biafra War, which was a big war that happened in Nigeria years ago. My dad actually fought in that war. So Chinua Achebe is a wonderful writer. I would say one of the best that I know there in Nigeria.
That is absolutely amazing. And that's one of the reasons we kind of do this deep dive because we want to bring the love of reading back. So, are there any children's book authors out of Africa that you would recommend for our audience?
I wouldn't say that I have explored the children's books yet. I would like to, but I haven't explored those children's books they have coming out from there. So that's something I could put on my to-do list.
Well, our thing is we want to spur the love of reading with children. And on that
Right.
note, we're going to take a small pause for the pause, and we're going to be right back with Nikki Sadiq and the importance and power of reading. Everybody, stay tuned.
Since 1877, Jackson State University has been training students for a life of service and leadership to impact our global society. Ranked among the best HBCUs in the country, Jackson State University offers 47 undergraduate, 37 master's, 1 specialist, and 13 doctoral degree programs. Whether you're interested in the arts, education, public health, the sciences, or business, we're here to take you from ready to JSU ready. Visit jsums.edu and apply today.
Are you a company, business, or service that believes in social responsibility? Would you like to make a positive impact? You can. You can sponsor this program and be seen by 2 million viewers on the PIC TV network. Call 770-367-1268 for more information today. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Importance and Power of Reading. I have a wonderful mother and parent, Nikki Sadiq, and she's been sharing with us her struggles with reading, but also overcoming the struggles because of trauma. Nikki, welcome back to our program. Now, as a parent and a professional, how has reading helped you in your life?
I would say as a parent, for myself, it has helped to educate me as a parent to learn more of what I don't know. I think books can help you grow in any area of your life, and as far as parenting, it has helped me in a wonderful way. And then also, as a parent with my child, it has helped me also to help my child begin to explore that love for reading, begin to know that the world is more beyond what her eyes can see. And I love that I can choose books that help shape her understanding of life in a really wonderful way. So as a parent, I would say reading has helped to educate me to be a better parent, and then also to help me to now pass this love for reading on to my daughter so she can explore that.
All right. Now, you said you also have sons, right?
Right. I have a son and 2 daughters.
Okay. So, how do you get your young man to read? Because I find that boys have a hard time quieting their minds. And sometimes that means that they don't take up reading or they can't get quiet and still enough to read.
Right. For my son, he's still very small, so I think now I'm wanting to explore it more with him. But just reading to them, I think the earlier the better. The earlier we can start to expose them to reading, even when they were babies, reading to them, that they hear you. As the earlier the better that we expose our children to reading, I think the better. And then being intentional because there's a lot of distractions for children, the TV, whatever else it may be, as far as making sure that reading is also one of those things that they can pick up, and it's available to them. And I think they see me reading a lot as well. So being that example of kind of like, mom always does that. Yeah.
Now, what's your profession and how has reading helped you in your profession?
I would say my profession, I'm a life coach, and I also help other people in their businesses. But I would say I'm trauma informed, and I'm a trauma activist. I share a lot of information about trauma recovery and healing, and it has helped me tremendously with my own recovery journey of healing from childhood trauma. I would say reading, if we count things on a scale of what was the most important thing, reading was the most important thing that literally saved my life. And it has helped me to continue to educate myself and have more insight and information. There's always more information out there, and as you explore, we can put together the pieces more and more. So I find that reading has helped me to not only have my own healing and recovery, but also to pass it along to other people, be able to inform other people with the information they need, and then also to share with them how important it is for them to read, to help them become more educated about the things, about the brain, about the body, about life, and about the way that trauma has affected us, the way that reading can also help us. So I would say it helps me a lot in my profession.
That is absolutely amazing. So now your other daughter, does she struggle with reading, or is she as good a reader as you and your other daughter?
So the twins are two, and then my oldest, so that the twins are boy girl twins, and they're two, and then my oldest is the older one, where she's kind of old enough to kind of pick up. She reads at school. She's starting to pick up those things. She's 5. So yeah, the little ones are kind of, they're watching, and we're working towards that. But the older one is kind of where she's actually has books that she likes. She can choose her books, and her school is also intentional about sending her something home to read with me every day, which was something I really love also, where I have to sign it off so we know that it gets done. So that's something I really like also.
That is awesome. So you have the twins that you're reading to. Now, does she read to the twins too, or do you read books with her to the twins?
She actually does. She actually does. That's that's her way of being the teacher in the moment, or being, mommy for a moment. Yeah, she actually does read to them. I can actually think of times where she's recently done it. So yeah, she does attempt to, even though she sometimes may not be reading exactly what's coming off the pages. She does try.
That is awesome. Now, since the babies are 2, we're going to just talk about this, and you might have some relevance because you might be in a parent group. But I know that, like I said earlier, our boys have a hard time quieting our minds. How do you think we can help our boys read more and better?
I would say our boys read more and better. I would say, not allowing them not to judge themselves, because I find that sometimes the self-judgment really is what hinders a lot of growth. So, allowing there to be time where the mind isn't quieted, because if there's too much control on your mind should be quiet all the time, where that is where sometimes it makes it difficult for that growth to take place. But allowing that space with no judgment for that, okay, I don't want to relax, and then being intentional about having that time where we say, well, now we're actually going to give time to quiet in our mind and exploring music, exploring writing, exploring reading, but not really taking away from the, not making sure there's a beautiful balance, so that it feels safe to explore reading, and it doesn't feel like you're losing the freedom of being free that you may enjoy, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense, because I know that, number one, boys, when they read, they like to have material that solves problems. And we need to give them something that they're interested in order to help spur their love of reading. So
right.
Now, as a parent, how do we ensure that both our boys and girls read well? Because I know our kids are reading, but with everything that's going on in our society and how we're growing and how we're evolving as people, we know that reading should be on the forefront of what they're doing. So, how can we
Right.
as parents, and I'm talking about collectively, make sure that our boys and girls read more and read well?
Right. I think what we're doing now is a part of that, raising that awareness on that importance. I think whatever's making the noise is kind of what stays at the forefront. So as far as we continue to make the noise and express and be intentional about how important it is and not letting it die out, I think if we're not intentional, then we really are not going to get anywhere. So being intentional about raising that awareness as parents, each and every one of us individually have that responsibility to make sure that we're not allowing it to be something they choose to do, but we're letting them know, hey, you need to do this. This is so important. You'll gain the benefits from it in so many different ways. And then also, like you shared, making sure we're leaning into things that feel safe, that feel fun, that make you want to continue to explore as well is really important. But I think awareness more than anything, like not keeping quiet about it, not shutting up, continue to talk about it, finding ways that, for fun activities where we can make it reading and something else, but just raising that awareness and make sure that we just don't stay silent.
Well, the thing about talking to you, and it's what's making me so excited and so joyful, is that you're very intentional and you're already reading to your babies and making sure that your 5-year-old is reading. Now, you read with her. Does she read back to you yet?
She does. She does. She does try. I love that her school has this reading process where they have books that they send home each day that we need to read together and sign off. So that kind of, we always have that time, even outside of the time where we're reading something she chooses from her own bookshelf catalog. So yeah, she's trying. She's growing, and she has a love for reading. We read the Bible every week. So we read our children's Bible with her. That's her favorite of all is the children's Bible stories. We not only read it to her, but after we let her watch Superbook, which is a Christian show that has sometimes some of those stories that are in the Bible that she can actually watch it after. So that's the treat. But she loves reading, and she's getting better and better each day.
That is awesome. Well, Nikki, it's time for us to take another little commercial break. For the folks out there,
Awesome.
stay tuned. We're going to be right back with Nikki Sadiq, and this is The Importance and Power of Reading. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Michele, the Computer Lady, your host for The Importance and Power of Reading. We have with us Nikki Sadiq, and we're going to continue our conversations about how important it is to make sure that our children read. Nikki, welcome back. Now, Nikki, you know that STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math education is not only now, but it's also in the future. How can we help our children learn this important aspect by reading?
Right. Would it be learning more about STEM or having reading to be a part of STEM?
Both.
Okay.
Reading more about STEM and to be a part of it as well.
Right. I definitely have heard of STEM and know some things about it. I would definitely say, kind of going back to that awareness thing, not only telling them about it, because sometimes we explain things and they don't know what that kind of really looks like on the back end. That's one thing about I'm learning as a parent is that I don't want to just tell my daughter things without giving her a better understanding, because they can sometimes understand and digest more than we think they can. So the more information we give, the more we explain things, the more we kind of share some of our stories, share some of our struggles and how we overcame them, share some of how we wish we would have known this, or how we wish we'd have done this, or how this opportunity wasn't always available, taking it back to many years ago where everyone couldn't read, right? So it's such a wonderful opportunity that we have. I think just helping our children to understand, taking it as far back as we can and as deep as we can to help them to understand, and then exposure, right? Exposing them to those programs, exposing them to the benefits of those programs as well, so they can explore it with us.
All right. Now that you've been in the United States, and everybody's been going through COVID, because you've been here since you were a little girl, and
Right.
everybody's been going through COVID and all these challenges. What do you think the state of literacy is for our children here in the United States right now?
I definitely think we may have taken a couple of steps back for sure. Not only because of COVID, but I think COVID definitely will have played a role on that. But I think we have gotten away from a lot of things that used to be of importance, the importance of reading. We have gotten away from those things. So I definitely think there's some steps back that we've taken for sure over the years.
Well, my thing is, because you've already pinpointed some things that you do with your children, what steps would you recommend parents do in order to, number one, help children to learn STEM, help our kids get back to literacy the way they're supposed to be, reading on grade level, and how important is that in our society? Doesn't matter the culture, but just as us as a nation, as America, as American citizens, and even people from around the world, how important is getting back and making sure that our kids can read and comprehend?
I think it's very, very extremely important for sure. It's extremely important, and if we don't do something now, we will definitely see a decline in the future where our children may have been able to advance in a lot of different ways where they're not able to, because there was a lack of understanding, there was a lack of that intentional approach. I think there's a lot of distractions, and now in today's age, with social media being one of the big ones, television being one of the big ones. And I think being intentional about cutting back on some of those things, as parents, monitoring how much we allow our children to consume of distractions on their growing brains is really important.
Now, do you have books in the home? I know you're an author, but I have to ask. You have books in the home your children can go and just pull out their favorite book that they can read?
No, yeah, yeah. We have a collection of different books, and we continue to add more to that. Yeah, definitely have areas where they can grab books to read. And my daughter has a few favorite reads. There's some that we've read multiple times because she really loves those. But yeah, we do have a place for them to grab books.
Okay. And so my other question would be then, because you have a place have you presented your daughter with her dictionary yet? Because you said your brother read the dictionary, so I want to know if she had her own.
As I was thinking, she does have a dictionary. We haven't really explored it, so that's something that I can explore with her now. We had encyclopedias growing up in the home. My brother is a Harvard Law graduate, so his love for reading really went deep. But yeah, I think I have those dictionaries, and I want to explore that more with her as well. But she does have access.
Well, my thing is, that was one of the things that my mom gave me when I was a little girl. She gave every one of us our own dictionary. And
Wonderful.
My mother always read. And so I've been reading since I was 2.5. And so, she would give me words every day. I would go look them up. Okay. And so are those some of the things that you do with your little girl as well?
The dictionary, that for me is really, like, now that I'm hearing it from you, is something that I definitely, I'm someone who loves to explore. And I think that this is one of the things that I haven't realized she's ready for that now, right? She's ready to dive deeper into not only seeing words, but going to explore more to learn, okay, what else can I learn about? What other words mean this or that? So yeah, I think that now I'm going to intentionally dive deeper into that.
All right. Now, as we kind of summarize what's been going on for me as a parent and a grandparent and a great grandparent, and knowing what's going on in the world, and you as a new mommy because you're young. Mm-hmm. I have a granddaughter about your age. And how young are you, young lady?
I'm 34.
Okay, so she's not quite that age yet, but you're 30 something. So what makes great about you being a mommy, you can talk to other mommies, especially younger mommies, and say, hey, these are the things that we knew. So do you have like play dates with other mommies where you guys are like a book club for the kids, where you get together and have story time for the kids yet?
I do. I have a virtual. I've had a couple of virtual experiences where we can come together and read and do different activities with the kids. Not in person yet, and definitely we've had COVID, so there's been those restrictions. As I stepped into motherhood, there was kind of like a lot of chaos around that time. So yeah, I think that that's something I would definitely like to explore. I'm a part of book clubs, and I know that there's just so much power in coming together and reading, and I think that is one of those intentional ways that we can get children more interested in reading. The more that we can like put them in community and do it, make it fun, the more it'll stick. So yeah, definitely something I want to explore more.
Now, as an author, are you working on a new project? I have to ask.
Definitely. I am working on a new book now, which will be about trauma and healing and recovery, and kind of sharing my journey and my expertise on the topic, and just going really deep and personal on my experience. So I do have a book in the works at this time.
That is awesome. Now, you talked about trauma, and since your family moved to America, I don't know what you know about slavery, but do you think the trauma of slavery or colonization had an effect on Black people reading in America, Black children, Black adults, Black adolescents?
Definitely. I definitely will say it had a huge impact, because there's going to be a disconnect in some areas where some people may have not built themselves up from that to that place of trauma recovery to begin to restore that love or desire for reading that they should have had. So there may have been some people, which we see evidence of that in our society today, but there it's not going to be everyone that had a chance to recover and have a desire for reading that they were able to pass on to the next generation. So I think that trauma has affected that, and that we can work a little harder because of that.
Well, everybody, you've heard it. Thank you so much, Nikki, for having this interview with me. Thank you for spending this time with me. One more time, tell everybody about your book and where they can get it.
Okay. So you can get my book, The Unfailing Love of God, on my website, which is www.nikkimadenew.com, Nikki. You can also get it on Amazon, so Amazon.com. You can order a copy there, and then my new book, you can also wait for that, and it's on its way.
Thank you so much for the interview. America, Nikki is amazing, and you heard it here. She's an author, a mom, and she's been telling you folks about the importance and power of reading. Now, like I know, the only way to help our children to be better is that we have to do better, and we have to make sure they are modeling our behavior. So make sure that you have a book in hand when your children see you, and have them read to you as you read to them too. Have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for joining me in the importance and power of reading. Hi, I'm Michele, the Computer Lady, author and children's book publisher of the Mommy Readers Collection series of books. Well, we know how important it is for us to read, but we also know how important our public hospitals are. We're here in Atlanta. My public hospital is Grady. They saved my life. And I would like to give back, and I need your help to do so. I've created a new fundraiser called Building Towards Our Future. And what's going to happen is we're going to make sure, you and I together, that Grady keeps on serving the marginalized, the poor, and the indigent in the Atlanta metro area. All right, stay tuned for more announcements. I'm going to be telling you how real soon. Thank you for joining me in this fight to make sure that we can live with Grady.
Hi, I'm Maya. couple weeks ago, someone I knew touched me on a private part of my body. It was hard to talk about what happened, but this is something none of us should ever keep secret. My friend Jess had a pool party and invited everyone from our class. Jess's parents were inside, and her older brother Roger was watching the party. I'd seen Roger around, and I thought he was pretty cool. I went into Jess's room to change, and then I got undressed. I heard a noise and turned, and Roger was in the room with me. He saw me changing. I was so embarrassed, but he tried to play it off like nothing had happened. He said he'd noticed me checking him out and that we should get to know each other. He started to touch me, and I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. I'd thought Roger was a nice guy, but anybody that invades your privacy or tries to touch your private parts is a creep. Touching like that is not okay. You have to tell them no and get away. I took his hand away and said, "Don't touch me." He got mad and told me not to tell anyone about what happened. If I did, he said he'd tell everyone I was flirting with him. It felt gross to keep what Roger did a secret, but I didn't want people to think bad things about me. Girls and boys in our grade hang out together more, but there are boundaries for touching. So why did I feel like I'd done something wrong? Was it my fault for wearing a bathing suit? I felt confused and alone. I couldn't even talk to Jess, but I knew I had to tell someone. So I told my mom. I was nervous. What if she didn't believe me or freaked out? But that didn't happen. She listened and took what happened seriously. I was just glad to finally talk about it.
I'm sorry this happened, Maya, but you did the right thing. Touching someone on private parts of their body is abuse.
I kept thinking that it was my fault that Roger touched me. But even if someone thinks you're flirting with them, it doesn't give them permission to touch you.
That's right. It's never your fault if someone tries to touch you, no matter what you're wearing. If this does happen, you have to tell an adult you trust. I'm glad you remembered the rules, Maya, and knew how to protect yourself.
Thanks, Miss Barbara.
I'm Sarah. I want to talk to you about a very important protect yourself rule. You have to know the difference between a safe touch and an unsafe touch. We all know safe touches, like hugs from our family or high fives with our friends. Unsafe touches are touches to private parts of your body. No one can ever touch parts of your body that are covered by a bathing suit, or ask you to touch them on those parts. But it is okay for a doctor to touch you on private parts when they're giving you a checkup and your mom or dad is in the room. These are safe touches. If someone gives you an unsafe touch, they might want you to keep it a secret. They might make you promise or give you presents to keep you from telling. But you always have to tell another grown-up about unsafe touches, no matter what. If you were touched on a private part of your body by someone you know or someone in your family, tell your teacher or another family member. It's never your fault if someone touches you like this. If it happens, other grown-ups want you to tell. Keep telling until someone helps you and make sure the unsafe touch never happens again.
There are over 2 million acts of violence in schools every year. 2,000 student suicides. Nearly 1 school shooting per week since 2013. What do these acts have in common? They are all preventable. How? There are warning signs and signals given off before these acts happen, often in tweets, posts, and texts. In fact, 4 out of 5 school shooters tell someone about their plans beforehand. 70% of people who die by suicide tell someone their plans or give some other warning signs. So what can we do? We can say something before someone acts.
Say Something teaches youth, grades 6 through 12, how to recognize signs and signals, especially within social media, from individuals who may be a threat to themselves or others, and say something to a trusted adult before it's too late. Developed with the help of educators and experts in threat assessment and intervention, Say Something can be taught in 20 to 40-minute sessions by Sandy Hook Promise certified trainers or self-led with the help of a digital toolkit you can download from our website. At Sandy Hook Promise, we believe we can do something to make our schools and communities safer if we all learn how to recognize the signs. We can make a difference. We can save lives if we teach our youth to say something.
Hi, everybody. It's Michele, the computer lady with the PIC TV network. I'd like you to join me and my guest as we discuss the topic of the importance and power of reading. Every week, I'm going to be bringing a new guest as we dive deep into why our kids don't read and ways that we can help them. Stay tuned.